Welcome to The Bridge, a podcast for dental professionals featuring the insights and expertise of fellow dental professionals. Let's welcome our host, Stephen Kuza.
Good morning, Bridge Dental Podcast listeners. My name's Steve Kuza, your local resident financial advisor for dentists, helping dentists in many different ways. But today we're very lucky. We got a husband-wife dentist practice combo here. We got Dr. Rima Bazzi and Dr. Nader Bazzi. How you guys doing?
Very good. How are you, Stephen?
I'm doing great. Thanks for joining us. I don't know if this is becoming a trend, but we keep doing these podcasts when people are on vacation. So you guys are in the beautiful state of Florida. And I appreciate you taking the time to jump on with us and educate all of our listeners and tell us about your journey a little bit. So thank you. So to get the podcast listeners started, let's help them understand, where are you guys right now in your career, and tell us a little about your practice.
Well, I graduated in 97. So 25 years ago is when we started. And it was just a dream that we had back then, right? Didn't have a dime to our name, but all we had was a belief that, we can change our patient's perspective about what dentists can do. And that's really what our mission has been, to changing one smile at a time. And sometimes we even, do save lives. So it's been a great 25-year story that still continues today. And not that to say that there's not, ups and downs, just like anything. I believe in the zigzag principle, which you can go to the top like a straight line. Things go up and down as the journey progresses. And the only thing that we do is we have to be consistent and constant in our approach, in our belief, and in our culture with our teams. So that's been really fruitful. We've implemented technology along the way. We've implemented, different, new techniques to improve our patients' lives. But it's been definitely a great journey, Steve.
Yeah, like Nader said, it's been a journey of just believing in ourselves, believing in our abilities, and having a dream and working toward it. Right now, we're the proud owners of 4 practices, and it's been step by step toward making a difference in our patients' life and enhancing their smile, making them believe in and give them that confidence that they possibly lost, and showing them how dentistry is not just transforming their smile, it is saving their life. So we're big believers in the oral systemic connection and how the mouth is really the gateway to the rest of the body. And we're, try to grow leaders amongst leaders in the practices. So we grow our team and our co-pilots in this journey toward believing in themselves too, because we are who we are because of the team that's surrounding us, and they have to believe in themselves and their abilities. So that's kind of been our journey, Stephen.
So right now, you guys are you're vacationing in Florida, but your practices are located in Michigan, correct?
Correct.
And are all of them branded contemporary dentistry, or are they different names for each practice?
2 of them are branded contemporary dentistry.
Okay.
Yes.
And
the other 2 practices, we were partners with another doctor, and now we're the sole owners.
Okay. And it sounds like the bedrock of your philosophy is taking care of people, helping them with their health, and obviously, they're, as you talked about, the oral systemic is kind of the gateway to the rest of the body. So
yes,
it sounds like that's the bedrock of your philosophy. So let's take a step back. And there was a day where you had no practices, right? So let's take a step back and look at your journey, because I believe both of you are from Lebanon originally. So the journey from Lebanon to the U.S. and how that branched into dentistry.
I always loved the sciences. I excelled at it. Loved and had an interest in how the human body works, and I was always in awe of just discovering how things are interrelated and interconnected. Didn't always know that dentistry is gonna be my forte till actually my sister, who's also a dentist, started thinking about dentistry, and I went in with her to an orientation visit. And I was really amazed and impressed how, it all came together, and I got beyond that factor that you're working in the mouth. And originally I was thinking it might be just a little gross to be working
That's fair.
in people's mouth. So I got to see beyond that, and actually submitted my application with her and got accepted together into dental school. And so I have my sister to thank for going into dentistry.
Now, Nader, you guys, if I'm correct here, Rima, you guys met in dental school. Is that right?
Yes, Stephen. I was a junior and Rima was an incoming freshman.
Okay.
And I saw her from typical story. You see her from far away and then say, this is going to be my future wife.
Yeah, you fell in love, right?
Fell in love at first sight. So, took a lot of work though, but yeah.
Nader, what was your path to dentistry? Obviously, Rima had the influence of her sister. What led you down that pathway?
So as a kid, Stephen, what I used to do is I used to take televisions and radios apart and put them back together. I had always had the curiosity to understand how things work. And I knew I was good with my hands, and I also had a very strong science background. I also want to have a career that allows me to use my creativity. And so that's exactly what I'm doing today. When patients come in to my practice with terminal dentition and we cannot save their teeth, again, I use the same thought process I did as a kid, think things apart, and then how do I put them back together so they become whole again? And so that's what I've been doing with my passion, which right now in the last 25 years has been the field of implantology. And that's kind of where I took the path, and I mastered that path through, in dentistry. So patients come to me and they have teeth that unfortunately can't function anymore, and they have self-esteem issues and confidence issues, and I'm able to take the path where, okay, that's your solution to make you whole again and give you have the ability to function. So again, that's what my curiosity as a child, and dentistry fits that model for me because I'm using my creativity and I'm also using my hands and the thought process of how do I create a beautiful smile.
Well, I want to understand how you guys work together. And you may have alluded to that a little bit with maybe each of you have your own particular skill set. But before we get there, I'm curious of how the path for ownership came about. Obviously you guys met in dental school, the rest is kind of history, but when did you guys decide that, hey, let's go open a practice together? When did that thought come around, and where does the entrepreneurial spirit come from? Where's that driven from?
Partially, I think that's more me than Rima.
Okay.
I'm always been the entrepreneur type of guy. So we owned our first practice a year out of school. So wow. Yeah. So again, we didn't have much means, but we had a belief that, we can do something special. And so that's all it took. And just being consistent in our belief is what led us to where we're at today. So from one practice, how we got to the second practice, the one practice wasn't busy enough for the both of us. So decided, okay, let's get into a second practice. And then from the second practice to the other two, this is where I said, okay, so now we have a system in place. We know how it works. We know how to make, we know how to have a good culture in the practices, that we can duplicate that and scale it. So this is where the entrepreneur spirit now came in with the third and fourth practices. And it's, again, everything has its challenges. But if we stay consistent with the message, I truly believe that, the outcome is always going to be positive.
We always talk about dream and belief, and, those are always words that can be easily, thrown out there, and really you don't know the value of it till you've, achieved and lost and was able to step up and, get back on your feet again. I mean, yes, as Nader mentioned, we started with, zero to our name. We were out of dental school and actually below zero with all the dental school debt that we had incurred. So the first practice, it was, an existing location that the doctor had relocated out of, and we just took the lease out of from him, and whatever dental chairs everything that he had in the facility with zero patients. So, really, being true to yourself, being true to your messaging, being true to who you are, being true to what you want, what your goals are, what you want to achieve, and the difference that you want to make, and be consistent with that messaging with your patients, with your team, having them see that you're believing in yourself and believing in your ability, then they're going to trust you, believe in you, and come to you. So, as a young dentist, you come out, and those are things that, we might take for granted, and we might not, we're focused on the dentistry, that's just the actual dentistry, but we might not so value, these exact words. And now looking back, it was these things that we had in us, obviously, in addition to the dentistry, in addition to the skills that we had learned, and you continue to learn day after day, by, really focusing on growing yourself, growing your ability clinically and personally, that enables you to continue on this journey, continue on succeeding, and continue on making the difference. So if I have one message, it has to be this: just believe in yourself, believe in your messaging, believe in your dream, believe in your vision, and don't let the slaps on the face or the falls kind of set you back and put doubt in you. Just keep getting up and keep moving forward. And we had each other that we could depend on.
Right. Yeah.
That was part of the magic. Absolutely. I'm always more of the heart person. He's always more of the entrepreneurial thinking and business skills. And we had that to bounce off of each other. And that's it.
Well, what you shared is obviously very valuable. And I'm thinking about kind of reflecting on what you said there. There is the belief and the dream is just the starting point, right? The journey, the hard work, and most dentists who go through dental school understand hard work of dental school. I mean, it's not easy to get through dental school and do what you guys do. And then to come out and say, well, now I'm going to leverage that learning and open my own business. That's a whole nother field of hard work. And then you actually have to be willing to put up the money to do it, or borrow the money, or whatever, at some point, obviously you're putting up that money. So then you guys did that 4 times. And so it's a very interesting point you make, because belief is just the start of it. Actually doing the work is another part. And then actually having the faith in your ability to produce, to borrow money and leverage that, right? And then now you're a business owner. So I think that's really cool to draw that thread. So right now we're talking to you guys, beautiful couple. We got 25 years. You guys are in Florida. You got a nice, beautiful picture behind you, but I want to talk about some of the zags, So those are the zigs. Let's talk about some of the zags. Where did you, maybe it was practice 1 to practice 2, maybe it was practice 3 to practice 4. Talk to some of the listeners about some of the zags that you guys face and how you overcame them. Were there ever issues, and you don't have to get super detailed on maybe between you two, but were there ever issues financially? Tell us how you guys overcame some of these issues of managing people and finances to continue to grow so rapidly.
So I would say our number one, and I think everyone would agree with this, is number one problem area that we have is always going to be with personnel, with people.
Okay.
And it could be, team members, or it could also be, even patients. So, if you take, I've learned this from one of my coaches. If you take people out of the equation, business is perfect. Dentistry is perfect.
Right.
Seriously. I mean, it's people that mess it up. So it's whether it's your team or the patients, that's where things can get messed up. But the actual business of dentistry, the actual service that we provide, it's a beautiful thing. So the constant ebb and flow, the zig and zag, is management of people, the management of people's expectations. And yes, we've had to unfortunately let people go because they did not fit our culture, or they did not believe in us, or they self-selected themselves out of the businesses because of we weren't seeing eye to eye, and that's perfectly fine, and that's, I think, intentional for that process to happen. We found that over the years, whenever that would happen, our experience has shown that somebody better came along.
Right.
And so we always have to believe that if something, let's call it bad, happens in the moment, usually it's a sign from God or the universe telling you that something is, I have something better for you lined up.
Something else will bloom, right?
Yes, and so we just need to, stay the course and and keep doing the actual groundwork. So the groundwork is real; it is there. You have to be able to expect and deal with people's emotions, and the way you gotta do this is staying calm at all times. So even when you're facing a difficult situation, your first thought that comes to your mind is not necessarily the best thought. So you have to reflect on that before something comes out of your mouth. And sometimes it's okay for you to say to an individual, whether it's a team member in your practice or a patient, let me dwell on this for a day or 2 or 3, and let me get back with you, later, and we'll pick up the topic. And the idea behind that, it gives you some ability for you to digest what's happening and how to look for the opportunity to change it into a positive message that fits what we're trying to do. So have we had those happen throughout the years? 100%. I can remember 10, 15 years ago where we had to let go of 4 people at once because they were bickering between each other. And when that happens, you're taking the focus away from the practice, right?
Right.
And they're not taking care of the patients, and obviously that affects the actual business of the practice. And we had to take some, difficult executive decisions to let go of those people. And sure enough, as soon as we replaced them, which is difficult to do, in a moment, but in retrospect, once we did that, the practice flourished immediately, within a few months. So you have to stay consistent to what you believe is right for the environment, for the culture you're trying to create. And so, yeah, we've had difficult decisions along the way, and keep, it's never going to stay perfect always at the same time. It never does. So you have to keep on reacting again with calmness. Look at it from, okay, is this something I can answer right now? Should I answer right now, or can I wait another day or two to figure out what's the best outcome that can come out of it?
But that is how you manage the people. How do you two manage each other? How do you stay in your lane? How does that work? Is it just really good communication? Is it I go to one practice, he goes to the other? Rima, tell me more about that.
So, yeah, we do rotate between two practices, and we work with each other one day a week.
Okay.
Yeah, communication is key. We really very open with one another. And we sit down and just talk about anything and everything all the time. So the only times we used to bicker is me running late and
yep.
And those, but yeah, those are like minor things, and just staying true to one another, knowing what your intentions are, what your who you are, and what you're trying to accomplish. Yeah, every step of the way. Whether at home or in the practice, and keeping that communication line open.
Go ahead, Nader. What was your thought?
Just in terms of the, like Rima was saying, we talk about it. We usually have a rule where we just talk about dentistry and the practices for maybe 15 minutes or 20 minutes after we come home, and then we kind of let go of it. Okay, and the reason why is just don't want you want to share what happened during the day, and obviously husband and wife team you're going to share the good, and we also will share the challenges that we had during the day, and then we talk about how we handled it, and then move on to that thing, just so we know what happened in each other's days. We're both busy, so like yes, we work together one day a week, but that one day a week we hardly see each other. So I'm busy seeing my own patients, and she is doing the same thing too. And then we barely meet during lunch, and then that's it. It's like we meet in the morning, meet during lunch. So it really to me it's the same whether we're together the same day, every day. We'll be busy regardless. But I think we have a beautiful dynamic where we're able to bounce off ideas and then talk about our challenges, and then also celebrate our wins. So we cannot forget to celebrate when we do something good. Because today, as you see with the media, only the negative is being talked about, and we make it a point to celebrate the wins. And this is when we actually meet in the morning with our teams. That's something that we do. We ask the morning during the morning huddle, what was the best thing that happened yesterday? And then the idea behind that is to again put everybody in the positive mindset so that we have a beautiful day that day.
And knowing each other and knowing the context you're coming from. So yes, the frustrations always happen. And, let's say there come a time where, there's something going on at home and, I'm frustrated with it. So like a lot of times, like when your husband is coming in and you're talking to him, knowing that, hey, if this is what's frustrating me, we set the context, and then, okay, how can we come up with a solution? How can we change this around in a way where these same situations don't continue on happening and continue on, causing that disconnect in a household, whatever the case may be. It may be where something gets dumped on a kitchen counter all the time. And, it bothers me and I don't like it. So, okay, we sit down and talk about it. Hey, I don't like this over here. How can we change it around in a way where it doesn't create that disconnect in the dynamic at home? So just little things that can be sometimes just switching the communication around. We're coming toward a solution oriented and where you're not causing those little things to kind of create a havoc in the relationship and in the dynamics at home, whether with your kids, significant other, and those, same things that can happen at work too. And just how you communicate to your team members about those little mishaps that can happen or things that can happen that, you inside internalize it and it bothers you, but somebody else can be just, not paying attention to it. But how do you communicate it to them in a way where, hey, this is bothering me. We need to sit down, talk about it. And, I'm coming from not to attacking mode, not in a way where I want to put anybody down. It's just figuring out solution for the dynamics to continue working well amongst everyone.
That's a great point. Both of you bring up really good, I want to say ideas and points. Just going back to what you said, Rima, assume positive intent. Assume positive intent is just a better way to live, probably. That way you're not upset with everybody. Mm-hmm. Assume positive intent. The communication of little things will turn into big things if you don't address them. And that's typically where you start to see problems come around, is because you didn't communicate it, then it blows up, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that's so important in a business partnership, let alone a, spiritual faith-based partnership, right? The husband-wife partnership. And so I really appreciate you sharing that. And even Nader, to what you're talking about with staff and working with staff and making sure starting the day with a positive mindset. It's so important because everything around us, as soon as we get home, it seems like they're trying to get us negative information all day long. Right. Mm-hmm. So that is, I love that little thought process. And if you're listening and you want to practice, that's a great, easy thing to implement. I wrote it down to talk about my team. What's the best thing that happened yesterday? Because it's so easy just to say, all right, who's on the schedule today? What are we doing today? Who's got what covered? Oh, we didn't do that. And then all of a sudden you write down this like fire hose of somewhere you don't want to be, and everyone's got aggressive energy. You don't want that. So
100%.
100%.
And so you guys obviously also have a family, and it's so interesting because I'm thinking about you guys, and you're navigating your family life, you're navigating your business life. And you guys are both really skilled professionals. How are you able to navigate the family life as well? And tell us about your family a little bit, your family dynamic.
We're a very close-knit family. Like I mentioned, my sister is a dentist. She lives right across the street. And my parents live probably about a mile away from us and from the Canton office. My other sister is also very close. Our kids are close in age. So it really takes a village. Yeah. And it's so true. So having, my family close by, having, just day by day sitting down, talking to them, seeing where they're at, where their mindset is, what they're thinking about, what they have going on in their life. And just taking those little moments as, like you said, the busy life takes over, and we all have so much going on. Just making sure we have those little moments together to sit down and spend the time and use your, network of family that can help you and support you and be that shoulder that you need when you have so much going on and you just need somebody to talk to. I think that's really what's helped us through the years.
Yeah. And then, we always say, as far as we have two children, and as far as our children are concerned, we always say they have the best in both of us. And, we see, Rima and her beautiful self.
So we have two kids, a 20-year-old daughter and 17-year-old son right now.
Yeah, beautiful.
And it's funny because we see us and them too, because we see, how they react. And as you're aware, kids will emulate you. So be careful in what you do, not necessarily what you say, because they will do what you do, not necessarily say what you do.
And sometimes say.
Yeah, and sometimes they say it too, right?
So it's important as a parent that we do what we're actually saying we're going to do, so that they can emulate us later on in life and become successful adults themselves. So that's been our primary method of parenting, is do more than actually say. And I feel like that's been working for us. And we have, one wonderful two children who are on the right path. And not to say that they can be challenging, because kids will challenge their parents at all stages.
But you think running a practice is hard?
Yeah, I think that's much harder. Parenting, I believe, is much harder. Even though sometimes I feel like we have a bunch of kids in our practices too, that we just need to talk to. And at the end of the day, Stephen, everybody wants to be loved and liked, right? No matter who you are. And so it's important for us to share that message, whether it's a team member or a patient or a family member. It does not matter, that your message is consistent all the way across. That's what we as humans innately require. And if you stay true to that, then you will attract the right type of patients, the right type of individuals that want to be part of your lives. The opposite is also true. So that's why it's you gotta be careful in how you portray yourself. And it's easy to go the negative route.
Yeah, much easier.
It's harder to do the positive route. But it pays, in dividends in terms of, looking from the practice point of view. Practice profitability is higher in terms of satisfaction of us as dentists. Doing our professional work, the satisfaction definitely is higher in terms of our, personal relationships with our teammates or patients. That's higher. Or kids.
Yeah.
It's all interconnected. So you can't really divide just the business of dentistry and your professional life. I feel like everything's interconnected. So who you are in life is what transcends professionally and personally.
Yeah, what we really try to teach them to, like, society puts us down. Any kids, especially nowadays more than others, you're too much of this and, too little of that. And, just always, like, especially themselves, if they're thinking like, I don't belong, I don't fit in, I have this going on for me that, I'm not filling this image that, the society puts for us. It really hinders them from really fulfilling the best version of themselves. And as Nader was saying, that's true for, anybody, whether your kids, your team, and ourselves too. So we always have to ensure that we continue on that positive messaging of showing them that they're perfect as they are. And that sometimes negativity is the thing that you need to propel you forward.
Right.
I always think of that, the arrow, like, that you need to pull back first before it propels and, speeds up. So I think that's really, if we could just give this to our kids, showing that they're perfect as they are and who they are, and believe in themselves, believe in their abilities, and continue on thriving forward and, setting positive goals for themselves and work toward it day after day, because that's what it takes. Just continue on working toward that positive journey, one step at a time.
I agree with that. And I love what both of you just said. And Nader talked about people just want to be loved and be treated well. It's so true. So true. And you see so many, especially in the environment we're currently in, people who are doing these tragic things or tragedy that happens. It's because typically they weren't loved or they didn't feel loved. Right. And then transitioning that to your kids is there's this like fine line as a parent, right? You want to be hard on them, but you also want to you overly be safe. And it's like, all right, where do we go with that and have them kind of learn their own journey? One question I will ask, my son just turned 8 and I said, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I'm thinking he's going to say Batman, whatever, a fireman or police, something like that. And he said, I want to be a financial planner, Dad. I'm like, what do you mean? So you talk about your kids emulating. I don't even know if he knows what I do, but it's so funny. You're right. Your kids are watching, but your staff is watching you too, right? And they see how you guys treat patients. They see how you treat others. And I could appreciate that you guys have a way about yourself personally that you carry straight through to your business that comes to your staff and also your patients as well, which is why you guys have the success that you have, right? Again, not always easy to get there, but you guys have this philosophy of how you carry yourself.
Correct.
So what is next for the duo, Rima and Nader? What is next for you guys? You have 4 practices now. Is dentistry still in the cards? Are the children who are now adults, are they going to one day, take over these practices? Tell us a little bit about what's next for Dr. Rima and Dr. Nader.
Our daughter is saying that dentistry is in her path. She's finishing her second year at U of M in Arbor.
Oh, beautiful.
Now she's studying toward taking her DAT, hopefully by the end of the summer. She's working toward an internship with Serona in Chicago. So she's keeping quite busy. So hopefully, yes, one day she'll carry that torch forward.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And in terms of, what's next for us, I'm interested in scaling further.
Yeah.
Again, it does come with its own set of challenges. And like I said earlier, number one challenge is people. So the business is perfect. So now just making sure that you have the right key people to do the right job in the right place. And after COVID, it's been more challenging to find the proper people. They're out there, but they're fewer than before. And so with that said, the path forward is the same, except we just need to take be a little more methodical about it, and to make sure that we have the right people doing the right things, which means I need to have the right people to expand. So that's what I'm working on next.
We'll always be involved in dentistry one way or another.
Okay.
We're both passionate about what we do. Nader loves to mentor, quite a bit. He, like he mentioned, he definitely developed an amazing skill set toward, really taking people that have hopeless dentition and they had lost any hope of, chewing ability, smiling, and he transforms that in one day. So he does the surgery and gives them amazing temporaries in that same day. And I, taken a lot of the, struggles that I went through with my dentition as well, had to go through orthodontic surgery my last year of dental school as I'm, studying for my boards and working on, completing my education in dentistry, and had all these things that I, had to work on. And it wasn't easy, and had to think through what, caused all these issues. And a lot of it, layperson don't even know, even, professionals don't even know how breathing related issues, habits that we develop as little kids that affect us as little kids, affect our growth and development, affect our well-being in general, and obviously affects our dentition. These things can be corrected early on, and it saves us a lot of, heartaches and a lot of issues, as we're growing and developing. So obviously, leading a team, growing a field, we worked a lot on ourselves. We always, done the education from a personal and professional level. So we've developed these skill sets that we feel like it's our mission to give back. And, dentists that are coming out that are seeking that knowledge, we could probably be a guiding hand for them to make it a little bit easier for them than, what we had to go through.
And in Rima, Nader, I really appreciate both of you guys sharing so much about it. It's so hard, one, to just have a really great marriage, and then two, then to have 4 practices with a business partner. So I love your story. How do people, as you guys are looking to give back and mentor, coach, and develop people, how do young dentists or dentists who want to own more practices, how could maybe they get in touch with you too?
Best way to reach me is my email, naderbazzi@gmail.com. naderbazzi@gmail.com. And then, I'm always look for the opportunity to chat with a colleague. I think we're all in this together. I don't view any of my colleagues as competition. I feel like the more of us that are pursuing doing the right thing, the better it's going to be for our respective communities across the world. So I truly feel like there's power in numbers. So the more of us joining together, doing the same thing, I believe that we become stronger. And if if Rima had something to do with somebody's success, that in my book is as if I gained so much value out of that. It's as if I made money in my own business. It's to me, I always say your success is my success. So that's how I look at things.
Yeah, and definitely the more we could help and make a difference in our field and change how dentistry is viewed as a whole, I think the more we can benefit as a whole, the more our patients can benefit, the more our team can benefit. And I could definitely be reached as well on my email, Rima, RIMADDS @gmail. And we're always open and wanna make a difference for everyone.
Well, we really appreciate you guys jumping on the Bridge Dental podcast. And for all those listening, we thank both of you for taking the time out of your vacation to share some insight and great feedback on just the way that you two decide to choose to be, live with positive intent, positive energy, and share that with others. It seems to be working really well. We wish you more success in the future. And as these journeys continue, we'll look to get you back on and talk about how you're going to go from 4 to 5 to 6, Nader, right? So to keep growing those practices. And so from all of us listening, we personally want to thank you for your time today.
Thank you,
Thank
Stephen.
you, Stephen.
All right, Bridge Dental podcast listeners, I hope you enjoyed today's episode and look forward to seeing you next time.